I am Kedger on two wheels and I have just survived a horrible crash. What happens next will shock you. So I'm going to go straight off the bat and say it was nothing serious, I just bumped into another motorcycle. But now let's proceed with the usual vlog in these cases. You will not believe what just happened. I almost died and almost killed another motorcyclist. Now seriously, what happened was I was doing a roundabout. I was exiting the roundabout with traffic a bit everywhere, and I was doing my before I did my indicator to the right, indicating that I was exiting, I glanced down and I noticed my indicator wasn't on. And I was almost sure I had turned it on, so I was very confused as why it was turned off. Most likely the auto canceller had cancelled at that point, but it's early morning, I hadn't had my coffee, so I was a bit dazed. I was relaxed because I was going really slowly. So it was early morning, relaxed, no coffee, so my brain was a bit addled. And in that moment I had, for some reason, a thought that maybe my key isn't inserted correctly. And for background, sometimes, very rarely on this bike, about once every 1,000 rides, I put my key in wrongly. So the key isn't quite straight, it's slightly off. The engine works, the dash works, but the indicators don't work and I don't have any lights. So at that moment I thought, maybe it's that, let me take a look at the key. Remember, I'm exiting a roundabout at this moment. So I take a look at the key, and at the moment I look at the key, before I even process the information of what the key position is, I think, no, this is a bad idea, we're in traffic, I'll check it out in the next straight. So I look up, and there is a motorcycle stopped here. Not over there where that key is, no. The bike is literally stopped here, where the Citroen is, in front of me, like right here. His license plate is here. And so as you can imagine, I did not have time to even touch the brake lever. I think I actually managed to still brake a bit, but there was just time to process that there was an object there, not even to process an oh shit moment. It was just like, oops, afterwards. It was just so on the spot that usually when you have these close calls, your brain reprocesses the data and you think that you might have done something, that you had time to do something, but in this case it was so close, my brain didn't even reprocess that. It was just like no time to do absolutely anything. And I do remember the feel of braking and the ABS activating, because the lever went very stiff and I just did a little bump at say 5 or 10 kph. Result, the bike rolled over to the right because he was stopped. The bump threw him forward a bit, so his feet went off the ground and then he rolled to the right. The guy went into the ground and rolled around a bit, just rolled over and ended on his back. That's roll over when you just drop the bike and you go with the bike. And so now I have to pay for damages. I could put it into insurance, but I don't want to lose my no claims bonus, unless it is an amount, the repairs is going to be an amount that's over what I would save for my no claims bonus. But let's see, we've changed info. I obviously said I'm so sorry, this was so stupid of me. Gave him my details, so he's going to go into his usual workshop and see what's going to be the repairs like. What was broken on the bike? His brake lever on the right side, it's a scooter, it's a T-Max 250, is bent and slightly scratched. Nothing to it. If he had rolled over himself, he wouldn't repair any of this, but he didn't, so he's going to. Obviously, I would do the exact same thing, perfectly normal. They are our babies, so we don't like when other idiots crash into us and scratch them all over. So he was surprisingly in good humor. The fact that I jumped off the bike and asked him I said I was really sorry about 1,000 times probably helped. But so his brake lever slightly bent and scratched. The plastics right over his pillion handguards is also slightly scratched. his pillion handguards, he's not sure if it's scratched or not, because it's an old bike, it's like a 10-year-old bike. And he told me, look, this is quite likely old, so I don't care about this one, but the plastic was fine and now it's not fine, so that's going to be repaired. That's going to be the most expensive thing for sure. And the place where I bumped into him, which is the plastic cover for his transmission, is cracked in at least 2 places. One of them, I think it was my boot that cracked it, made a little hole in it. So it's cracked and it's got a little hole for 2 things from my bike bumping into it. So yeah, that's the 3 things that are going to have to be fixed. So I'm guessing that's going to be like 100 or 150 bucks. I pay insurance annually like 80, and if I lose my no claims bonus, that's going to very likely double, so that's 160 euros a year. And so that's plus 80 a year for at least 2 years, so in 2 years I'll make the 150 back. So if it is under 200 bucks, it's not worth it to go to the insurance. So that's the ceiling I'm going to put. If he tells me it's a 300 euro repair, I'll tell him, listen, I'm sorry, but we're just going to put this onto the insurance. Okay? If it's like, oh, it's 150, cool. It's not something I actually have money for, but it has to be done. So yeah, that's my horrific crash where I almost died and killed another guy. 5 kph bumping into another motorcycle. Sorry, it happens to all of us. This actually is a quite common accident for cars to have onto motorcycles. That's why you should filter, because that's makes it so that doesn't happen. If this guy had filtered, this wouldn't have happened. That's it, that's his fault. It's his fault. He should have filtered. That's what I'm going to tell him. Hey guy, I'm not going to pay because it's your fault. You should have filtered. What the hell are you doing? Stop behind the car. No, seriously. That's why you filter. If he had filtered, he would be at the front of the queue and I would have bumped the car. In this case, I wouldn't have bumped into anyone, because when I looked up, the car was far away, but the bike was on top of me. And I would have noticed the car in front of me because it's a big bar. And the motorcycle is a thin thing, and he was on the right side of the road. He was like, he stopped like here. That's why my brain didn't register, because even like this, my peripheral vision was looking at this section here and not this section here where he was. So that's why I didn't see him. Yeah, that makes sense. That's why even when we look down, it's not just me, when we look down, even if we're looking like this, we're subconsciously still taking a quick glance at this peripheral vision. If we see movement here, we react. And I didn't react. Why? Because as I was going like this, my peripheral vision was checking movement here, not here. And when I looked up, it was probably because I saw movement incoming from this section. So that's why I suddenly thought this is a bad idea and looked up, and then was just too late. So yeah, don't trust your peripheral vision, because when it finally reacts, it's just way too late. It acts on movement, and if things are moving, they're way too close to you for you to even react. Never mind, avoid. So yeah, a crash, a bump.